Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host this evening, where we will be reviewing The Front Room, a film, John, I wish I knew was entirely about poop before I watched it. I wasn't eating, at least, so thumbs up to that.
It's not about
first
poop.
up. It's not about poop, that's right. First up from Manhattan, New York City, please welcome John Schnartz to the show.
Hi, Eric.
Just living the life over there.
Mm-hmm.
Next up from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello.
John, I don't want to brag, but I did
You
watch
don't?
this entire film in the bathtub.
Doesn't it get cold?
I had to hit it up once, with a little more hot. And
I guess it's true. It's like a
I was
tight
a little
90
chilly
on
by
this
the
thing.
end, but at that point I had realized how close I was to the end, and I was so excited for the achievement that I was like all in.
Oh, man. The last time I've been in a bathtub for more than 3 minutes, I don't know. It's been a long time.
I'm pushing 2 hours sometimes. Like,
Yeah, well, this movie, like I said, 90 minutes.
but it was a clean, but it was a clean 90.
It was.
So
It was very,
works.
very
It
tight.
was beautiful.
Toy
One of
90.
the many reasons I like it, which we'll get to here in a minute. All right, let's do it. Let's take a quick break and discuss The Front Room.
This is it, gentlemen. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
It's boys' night here at Bloody Good Horror, John.
Boys' night!
Although I like the connotation of boys' night makes it feel like it's going to be crazy or something, where the reality is the show is so much more unhinged when Rachel is here.
Yeah.
It adds a quality.
So you're actually just going to get like quiet old, boring old man. BGH.
At
I was
this
gonna
point
say-
in our career, you're going to find out about multivitamins.
Speaking of old man and career, John, it's October 2024. That means we are basically in the midst of our 17th anniversary right now.
It's our anniversary
Yes.
month. Anniversary month.
our unruly teenage phase, which is, again, all three old guys talking about multivitamins.
Congrats to you guys. We did it.
I can't, John. I'm going to be honest. I can't believe you're still here. I would have expected Joe to stick around much longer than you did.
Eric, I've threatened so many times to leave.
I think the secret is that you actually really love me.
I love the fans, is really what it comes down to.
There's that withholding.
Come on, I can't give. It's too early in the show. So,
No, I get it. John, please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word is foyer. Foyer, that's Foyer. Definition, an entrance hall or other open area in a building used by the public, especially a hotel or theater. And then the North American use is an entry hall in a house or apartment.
You're not going to say it all fancy for me?
Well, I was going to say, the one definition they could have added here is a front room. But
I meant with
here we are.
the French.
Foyer.
There it is.
So interesting. The definition here comes from Latin. The word focus, domestic hearth. But it does come to us eventually from the French.
Which is interesting because a hearth is not what I think of when I think of
No.
a foyer.
Yeah.
You may find it amusing. I'm going to give you guys a little word of the day quiz here. The word that I considered was incontinent. Turns out
it.
had already been used.
I know what movie you used that for. The
Oh,
Visit.
that was my question. What was it?
The Visit.
Wow.
Wow.
That was the last movie that had this much poopy in it.
Wow.
I was thinking about it while watching it.
Yep.
We joked
God,
about that
you got
goddamn
that.
movie
I can't
for
believe
years.
you got that so easy.
That was pretty
wild.
impressive.
Yeah.
I know my shit, John.
You were sitting on that
So to
one.
speak.
Very nice.
Tell us about the front room, Jonathan.
Yeah, the front room. I would call this a brandy vehicle. that Brandy being Brandy Norwood.
Who'd have thunk we'd be saying the words Brandy vehicle in 2024?
Well, here's the thing. Brandy never went anywhere. Eric, I actually was going to ask you because, well, Casey, you may be familiar with a little program, I think technically television movie called The Descendants.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric, if you are aware, you will be at some point. You have 2 daughters. The Descendants it was originally like a TV movie on, I think, like Disney, whatever, the Disney Channel on TV. Now
Yeah.
it is part of the lineup on Disney Plus. There's been 2 new ones in the last like 2 years, and one that came out earlier this year called
she's
The
in it?
Rise of Red. Yeah, Brandy plays Cinderella.
This sounds like some YA stuff.
So the
yeah.
premise of The Descendants is that it is the kids of all of the bad characters across the Disney, movies. So like Ursula's kid is like one of the Descendants. I think the good kids are also in there. I don't know, but
You
the
ever
bad ones are
watch-
like.
You ever go back as an adult and watch The Little Mermaid?
Yeah,
It's kind of a terrifying movie.
my kids watch it all the time. Well, they used to. They don't watch it as much anymore. But yeah, I've seen it a bunch of times. It is.
I
It is
remember
scary.
watching it with my kids and having to explain stabbing to them. Because she gets stabbed at the end by like the boat thing and gets murdered. And
Were they like confused about what would happen if
Like-
something like that happened?
she was very. I mean, she was probably like 2 years old and asking like what
Yeah,
happened to her.
fair.
I was like, I don't know. She's hurt.
I don't know. There's like just a quality of imagining like a sharp thing went into your body, like what it would be like. So yeah, Brandy. Most recently of The Descendants, Rise of Red for all the Descendants fans out there.
I also years ago, John, worked at a UPN station, so I'm familiar
Oh.
with her show.
Well, so Moesha was the show that I know
Moesha,
her
yeah.
from, which I was looking at this. I think it ran 96 to 01. Does that sound right? Yeah. In any event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
There it is. 90. She did 127 episodes of Moesha. So they got to that sweet syndication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice for her. Casey and I were talking pre-show, though. Eric, did you clock who wrote and directed this little film?
No, Casey was just telling me it was never mind. I don't know. Tell me. I forgot.
So Sam and Max Eggers, who are the
Right.
twin brothers of Robert Eggers.
related to
Yeah.
Robert Eggers. Interesting.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so they wrote and directed. It's from, apparently this was like in the credits. The writer Susan Hill short story, I think, that this is based on. Susan Hill wrote the book that became The Woman in Black.
Oh,
another-
yeah.
another deep cut.
That was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the premise here, you have Brandy. She is I don't know, like late 30s. I mean, in real life, she's 45. I looked up, but let's say like late 30s, early 40s. She's pregnant. She is a professor, though she's sort of like at an inflection point where she's struggling in her career. Her husband is a district attorney, I think. And yeah, so they're having a kid. There's like a backstory where there was another kid that died suddenly. It's not fully explained. It's like material, but not super material to the plot. The long and short is that Norman is the husband. He gets a call one day. His father is dying, and then he gets a call, whatever, a week later, and the father's dead. And now, surprise, his stepmother, Solange,
Oh my God.
is
this
gonna
lady,
come-
I can't wait. I cannot wait to talk about this lady.
she's gonna come live with them. So Solange,
She's so wild.
I mean, I'm very curious how old she's supposed to be in this movie because she looks
100.
like she's 1,000. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
She looks like a mummy. Like,
it's crazy. Well, and there's a sequence where she's sitting in the bathtub with her wig off.
In a way, so while I was watching the movie, Casey texted that she was 67.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
a way, it made me feel better, like that it was an act. Because she's just like so good at, man, it's so uncomfortable to watch. She's so
Yeah.
frail and tiny and like very witchy.
So, in any event, she comes to live with them, and this basically precipitates. I don't know, it's like a hand that rocks the cradle type situation where she's the husband like does not have good things to say about her, had like a really rough childhood with her. She's super religious. There's all these intimations that she's like weirdly religious, like not just Christian, like old-timey Christian, you know,
Yeah,
quote
and that she
unquote.
sort of is like she channels the Holy Spirit, you might say.
Sure. There's lots of like weird Solange behavior. It's never clear exactly what of any of it is sort of supernatural or just like in any event. There's lots of theatrics around it, but none of it's never clear how much of it is like happening in real life or not. But she and what's the Brandy character's name? Oh, Belinda. Oh shit. How could I forget Belinda? Belinda and Solange are sort of like having this
I have to
battle.
say that I'm positive that this Solange character, her name is a reference. There's an old 70s like exploitation film. Levi or somebody in the chat has got the name.
That's
You
whatever
literally-
happened to Solange.
Thank you. You literally cannot search for like anything with the word Solange in it without getting Beyonce's sister. So I was
Yeah.
able to. Thank you, Casey.
So there's a battle. It ramps exactly midway through the film. I looked 45 minutes in, the baby comes, and that then sort of really exacerbates things because now all of a sudden, Belinda and Norman are not sleeping. Solange is acting like crazier. She's saying like, passive aggressively or aggressively nasty things about her mothering and so forth. The baby's not latching and like eating properly. So it's all just downward spiraling until there's a final conflict.
Casey, what'd you think?
So this movie ended up not being what I thought it was. I'd only watched the trailer once before going in, and it was kind of set up like I don't know. I was expecting maybe something like The Visit, some kind of turn like that, but it stuck to its lane, and it's a weird, funky little thriller. And I'll be honest, when I got to the end of this the first time, I wasn't sure how I felt about this movie as it wrapped up. But as I've gotten away from it, I watched this yesterday and thought about it more and more. I'm really kind of impressed because there's some tricksy stuff going on here, and I think if I look at it in that light, it's like, oh wow, this is really impressive. I totally fell for it. There's some aspects of this movie, like the pacing, I think, for me, the pacing got a little sluggish in a couple small spots, and it's not overall. It's a slow movie, for sure, and it doesn't suffer from that pace. There's a couple times I found myself distracted. I'm also in a cold medicine haze, so it could have been anything. But otherwise, I thought it flowed really well. I thought Brandy was funny sometimes, which I didn't expect. In a movie like this, she had some kind of good zingers in there once or twice. Eric, you mentioned it on text. I absolutely could not stand her husband in this movie, which I think is probably intentional, and they did a good job with it.
Yeah.
Norman!
Yeah.
The actor's great.
Yeah.
Every actor in this movie is kicking ass. For sure. John, what'd you think?
I'll just say I'm surprised because I know sort of where you both directionally are landing on this. I'm not out like in a hard out, like I don't want anything to do with this or it's a piece of trash. It just didn't really work for me. There's like a couple reasons I would say. I think the trailer does it a disservice. I think it is misleading. Almost
I think
like
the trailer's great.
But the trailer makes it look like it's going to be scarier and sort of nastier than. And when I say nastier, I was expecting it to ramp to a place in a physical way. Like the trailer shows you the scene where Solange falls and like hurts herself, basically. And
See, it actually went farther than I expected it to. So maybe there was like an expectations thing going on.
I just was I also think the trailer sort of leads you to believe that there is going to be supernatural elements that don't really materialize. Now that I actually appreciate. I think to Casey's point, once it was over and I sort of stepped back and was like, I see what you're doing here. It's
Yeah.
a clever little movie. I guess for me, one of the other big pieces of it is like, and it comes on right away because Eric, you mentioned this with the opening credits sequence and the song choice in the opening. There is like a tonal discontinuity in this movie that I found a little hard to wrap my head around initially.
Do you know why? I just watched, because it was on last drive-in, the film that Eli Roth's Knock Knock is a remake of.
Oh
The
yeah,
original
the
70s version.
what's it called? The something game.
And like stylistically, this movie really reminded me of that. It's sort of like wacky, definitely atonal, or like there's a tonal like imbalance, but sort of on purpose. It's so, I don't know. The influences here are really interesting.
It's disorienting, and in a way that like maybe I just like wasn't in the right headspace for it. Again, some of it was expectation. We'll get into it. I also got to the point with like the poop and the like pissing herself all over. I was just like, look, I get it.
It's a lot.
It's fucking
lot
gross,
at some
dude. Like
point,
I don't
yeah.
need to see it. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
The poor lady clearly wasn't getting enough water.
So I gross, Casey. So I love this movie. Like,
I'm so shocked. I was really like,
no,
these guys are gonna be like,
you
so
know what
out
it is,
on
and I'm
this.
actually glad I forgot that this was A24, and I'm kind of glad, because trailer aside, I think being an A24 film works against it, because there's a certain level of avant-garde craziness that we expect from an A24 film. What this is, it's like, this is a, Casey, I think you said it's a funky little thriller. That's such a great way. It's like a workman-like thriller. And the other way I was thinking of it is, it's like a studio horror film filtered through like 10% of an A24 lens. And that 10% to me is what makes it so interesting. It's got this really interesting stylistic thing with the music. It's really disgusting and pretty dark, but it's also funny. Like,
Dude, there's a shot of a toilet for like a full on 30 seconds, and that just shows like
Brandy-
different things going down there.
It got
old,
progressively
I'll
worse.
be honest, John. I'll be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna say something.
No,
like
I hope you're
maybe
only.
slight-
I hope
maybe
you're only ever
slightly-
honest with me.
Maybe slightly problematic. That this lady is old to a degree. In this, thank God she's not as old as I thought she was, but still, like, I hope she's taking calcium. Is all I'm saying, John. But like, she's
It
old
was
to a degree
convincing.
that made me feel uncomfortable. Which is why when I found out she was 67, for weirdly, I was like, okay, this is partly an act, and that made me feel better.
Well, I think
Yeah.
some
But
of the
she is-
some of the shots of her arm have to be. They were doing practical.
I was
effects.
worried. Do you
Oh,
remember
yeah.
when we did the M. Night Shyamalan the Daughters movie recently, and it had that older actress in it?
If only
that
I
had
could
been-
forget it.
The Watchers, yeah.
It had that older actress in it that had been in the TCM thing from a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
she's just not good. I was worried that was going to happen. This lady, what's her name? The actress. I want to like properly.
Oh
shout
yeah,
her out.
hold on, I have it up. Catherine Hunter.
She
Yeah.
fucking murders in this movie. Like
Yeah.
she, and the direction is so good at making her feel ominous. And I do get it's not really scary, but it's really tense. And it comes down to just really simple. When I say workman-like, it comes down to really simple cinematography stuff. Like when they first meet her, it's almost like these religious people are wheeling out Hannibal Lecter. Like, because she's covered
Yeah.
up and she's in a chair and they're all around her, like laying
Dude, with the
hands on her
fucking
and, like,
black.
And yeah,
thing
she
over
had the
her
whole
head.
and then
spider
she
thing
makes-
going.
She makes Brandy pull the thing up, and it's like, that is simple, stylistic directing that adds tension, and it's very creative, and that's what I appreciated about this film.
Yeah, she totally had Black Widow vibes.
Yeah, I do agree. I will agree that there's a point at which you're just waiting for it to escalate, and it maybe is hanging on a little too long of doing the same kind of things over and over, like, you know. But then I was like, we start getting to the finale, and it kind of gets resolved, and then we're reminder, John, I'm in the bathtub. I don't know, I just
Yeah,
wanna
yeah.
make sure.
I again
And-
wish I could forget.
Don't lie. That's not what we said earlier.
I was hoping you'd get to that scene while you were still in the bathtub.
The final scene, dude, where basically, like, spoiler alert, she we flash. So there's a scene where she wakes up. They wake up in the morning and she's dead, and it's sort of like oh, thank God, it's such a relief, and this like horrible thing is over.
Well, and the
then at
morning
very-
starts with the baby latching for the first time and her being able to breastfeed the baby.
And then at the very, very end, there's a flashback, and we see that Brandy smothered her. And the way that they lead up to that scene is like chef's kiss. And I was like jaw dropped when I saw that. It's the perfect way to end the movie because you want her to fucking do it. Like you want her to smother that old lady. It's kind of awesome. I was not expecting it to be that entertaining. It's very funny in a very sick and dark way. Yeah, I just really liked it.
Yeah, look. I don't disagree with you. It is funny. I think if I were to watch it again, which I probably will not, it would land differently again because I'd sort of be going into it with the right headspace.
Well, but I get it though. Like, you know, little bit of an off trailer. It's from A24. You're kind of expecting. You're not even sure what to expect at some point.
Here's the thing. Yeah. I do not understand how this was released into theaters in the year 2024. I'm not saying that like it shouldn't be. It's just like who were they expecting to go see this movie? Like,
see, I totally disagree. I think that this is. I don't know how it did. No idea.
It did not do well.
Probably not great. So I think that this was an attempt at A24 to move into a little bit of a Blumhouse space, like a slightly more mainstream, and that would explain the trailer. Like A24 films are so fucking weird. You can't even make normal trailers if you tried. This movie is just close enough. Like I said, it's got the spine of kind of a studio horror thing that I totally get why they sold it the way they did.
It's got that tricksiness to it, which gives it the A24 flair. I totally see what you're saying.
Then you show up and you're like, there's poop everywhere, and like she's flinging herself into tables, and the fight at the table when she starts calling her uppity, like holy shit.
Well, and here's the thing.
It's just wild.
The performance by Catherine Hunter, I think is her name, the woman who plays Solange. It's incredible. Like, look, hat tip to her.
Killed it. Yeah.
It's a lot. Like, by this, like,
you're talking to somebody who really loved Nicolas Cage and Long Legs this year, John. So
sure. Me too.
That's my barometer this year for a lot.
Nicolas Cage and Long Legs, he's in that movie for 15 minutes, you know, like screen time. Fair. He's like talking.
She's in this whole thing.
This movie hangs off her voice and like the way her calling her Belinda. That was the moment I was legit laughing.
We have a great question.
But hold on, but that scene is in the trailer again, where I'm like, you showed me like most of the best parts in the trailer, which I was.
This is where my lack of short-term memory really serves me.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah, same.
And the fact that I'm usually on my phone during trailers. And
just really quick, like this did under $3 million at the box office, which like is quite.
Yeah, but
low.
It's probably cheap though too.
Sure. Brandy is not showing up for nothing. I mean, she gets to like lead a theatrical film, like, but in any event.
I mean,
the since we dropped the spoiler, the ending is really what got me with this movie eventually, because when I finished this movie last night, there's this whole, they go pretty deep into Solange's wacky religious stuff. She's talking tongues, and like when the moment when Brandy comes home and all of her prayer groups there, they've moved all her furniture in and stuff. And to me, that's the stuff that I'm getting bought into this movie. Yeah. And then you get to that end and it switches it up, and it left me at the end going, what the hell? All that religious stuff was for nothing. But looking back, you see the red herringness, and it's like, Oh,
I just want you to know that Solange is the most Midwestern way you could possibly pronounce it.
Yeah,
well. You guys brought up in the pre-show, or maybe it was in the beginning, we were talking about the husband. I think that actor is so good. Like the first of all, John.
I love when you first of all me. This is
so handsome.
Yeah, very handsome.
Hardcore Schnars vibes from that guy.
Just
in the first scene,
he's just like a guy.
He's so like handsome and supportive and loving. I'm like, I need this guy in my life. I need this energy. But then, like, you see it. It's like you see how immediately shook he gets at Solange reappearing in his life. Like he just crumbles immediately. And I think that's such a brilliant portrayal of like religious trauma but in a subtle way. It's really through character work, and it's through watching his demeanor change around her, like changing from this like strong supportive partner into basically like a childlike figure in these moments. He there's an understanding of trauma there, and he's really nailing the performance, I think.
I have exciting news for you as a fan of Andrew Burnap is his name.
I don't know
He
this
is
guy.
playing that's the husband. He is playing in the forthcoming Disney live action Snow White. You know how they're doing all the live actions now? He's like
Too.
the handsome prince of the live action Snow White. So
I
you got that to look forward
you
to.
heard it here first, John. Handsome.
Eric, that means you're going to get action figures that look like Schnurrs.
I mean, there's already. I can go get a Winter Soldier action figure right now.
True.
Just keep it next to my nightstand.
There you go.
My nightstand.
I'm more surprised you haven't.
I didn't. I felt like the husband gets a little lost in the sort of like middle second act, like through the basically second act through the third act, because I actually was expecting him to go further against Belinda. I thought there was. They actually undercut a lot of the tension between them because he does like really go against the line. I mean, there's like one moment where it's like, did you hit her? Maybe he did. Maybe you did. But then
It's
he's
a
like,
little
no,
weird
you
though, because
couldn't.
there's almost these small moments where she goes with her too.
Well, that in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Well, and he reminds her at one point, you were the one that advocated for because he wanted nothing to do with Solange from like
That's true.
the jump.
That's true. Yeah.
See, I almost expected him to fall more under Solange's spell and back to the old ways because, like, especially when she comes home from the hospital and she's like, well, I discussed it with him that we're going to move my furniture in. So, he didn't tell you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Look, as someone, my kids are getting older, but like it's not that long since I've had a newborn. The newborn stuff is like super traumatic. I was also like pretty, like his whole.
We've discussed like I hear a baby cry and I'm like,
It's no,
I
it's
wanna crawl
triggering.
under a bed.
No, but his behavior in this was like bizarre. Like I feel like the writers might not have as much familiarity with that stage of life or something. Like it didn't feel authentic to me that he was like, I just have to do this one thing at work and then maybe, and then it's all gonna be fine.
Yeah.
He's so like keyed up about work. Yeah.
Well, and he's keyed up
He
about,
didn't have a job, right?
John-
he was
no,
looking
no,
for a job.
No, he
John,
was a public
in
defender.
1978, when my father had his first child, he went back to work 2 days later.
Sure, but he probably wasn't telling your mom, like, if your mom called him and was like, you have to come home because someone's shitting all over the house and the baby's like crying.
Well, that's
like,
my question, John. John, would you take the money knowing you got to take all the shit?
Probably, yes.
Oh, best line in this movie? The husband. There's fucking piss all over my tie.
Yeah.
It's so good.
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they did really well, though, too. And I could say this from some of my own parental experience, but the drama between Solange and Belinda, and at the very beginning when the baby shows up and Solange is telling her, "Oh, you should do it this way. You're not a good mom if you're doing it that way," and stuff like that. They really kind of nailed that aspect too.
No, like that stuff all worked. For me, it was the husband piece. He felt a little third appendagey at times in the narrative, and like there were there are moments where he's
That kind of
important.
tracks, though. That kind of tracks, I think, with the characters.
Yeah,
It's really a clash
sure.
between. It's really a clash between the two women.
It is, but to me, the highest tension in the film is when you are concerned that the husband is really going to turn against Belinda. To me, that's the highest tension. Because here's the thing: if you accept that there's no
Right, because
supernatural
she's sort
stuff,
of working him against. Brandy.
if you accept there's no supernatural stuff happening, the physical threat to Belinda is like near zero. I mean, this woman is.
Are you trying to, John? Are you searching for the corporeal threat in this story?
Well, I mean, it's a psychological thriller, right? And so, to me, that the threat psychologically was that the marriage doesn't survive this. that was like the scariest thing. Maybe that says more about me than it does about the movie. But yeah, I don't know. And so that's why I say like they undercut that a little bit. Sort of, it's the back end of the second act.
Love it. Anything else?
I thought Brandy was great.
Yeah, she's really good.
I haven't seen her in a movie for a while. I was impressed.
She's definitely great. I'm genuinely bummed I didn't see this with an audience, because I think watching an audience react to some of the scenes in this probably would have been pretty fucking
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm good, bro. I'm good.
John, I'm trying to see the YouTube comments. Casey and I were having a discussion about transition. No, not transition. What are they, Casey? Progressive lenses.
Yeah,
I literally
progressive.
can't see the YouTube comments unless I look back and down my nose. So, or like
I just thought you were moving your head around.
Whereas I can actually see him now without having to move my head.
No, I think I need my glasses, guys. I think it's time. All right. Would you recommend this movie, Casey?
Yeah.
Jonathan?
I'm gonna be a no.
John? I'm a yes. I'm a hardcore guy.
I feel like I've been a yes for the last like 15 movies. I gotta be a no every once in a while to keep it,
Yeah.
keep it
I'm
real.
gonna look. I'm gonna.
It
look-
has been a happier Schnars this year.
I'm gonna look at my top 10 on the other side.
Okay. let's
Oh.
do
All
it.
right, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
Don't Fall Asleep is an apt one for tonight, John, because your boy is sleepy. Weirdly, being in the bath helped keep me awake for the movie. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I would have fallen asleep. I guess I'm putting this in the bullpen for now in my top 10.
Well, did you do Substance on the top 10?
No? I should put that in the bullpen too.
I mean,
There's
look,
going to be a lot of like game time calls, I feel like.
that's how I do it every year.
I just feel like, John, you know, I get these movies every year that I sort of want to champion. And it happened so early in the year, I just like can't bring myself to get rid of ISS. It was such a fun movie.
I liked it. I think I was a yes on that movie.
I want people to see it, and if me keeping it on my list helps some people see it, John, then I've done the Lord's work here.
Here's the thing: in 5 years, if someone's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about like something to stream tonight. Should I watch ISS or The
I'd
Front
be like,
Room?"
hell yeah.
Well, one or the other, like,
Or what?
or Front Room.
Or Front Room. I think I'm judging based on the person.
100%. It's like, hey, do you like scatological psychological?
One of my
thrillers?
friends,
What are your thoughts on poop?
one of my good friends, his daughter's way into horror, and his wife will ask me for recommendations, and she literally will never fucking listen to me, and then she goes and watches the worst thing ever and complains to me about it. It's
Yeah.
really fun. But like ISS would be a perfect pick for them because it's like not too crazy.
Good times.
No email this week, Casey. So go for it.
Actually, let me take a look here. Sorry, I didn't have it pulled up. That's on me. We don't have any threads this week.
Okay.
Oh no, Threads. Is it dying, guys? Is Threads dying? Is it?
And we're just running late today.
Let's see. This is from Slack. Our friend Joe. I can't read, John. I need new glasses. People typically talk about Nepo baby. People typically talk about Nepo babies in a negative light. Who are your favorite Nepo babies? Favorite.
We had a brief conversation about this
Yeah.
over text earlier today because you guys gave me a heads up.
My first response was Jamie Lee.
Jamie Lee Curtis, classic Nepo baby. I would go with Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe
Yeah.
Kravitz, awesome. I said Ben Stiller because
Yeah, that's a good one
the
too.
parents are also amazing. And we discovered that Margaret Qualley of The Substance is a nepo baby.
Yeah, had no idea. She is Andy McDowell's daughter.
Yeah, that was a new
Oz
one for me.
Perkins is always the one I bring up. I feel
Oz is a good one. From the newer crop, I'm kind of a fan of Jack Quaid.
Yes,
I think, and Natalie pointed out, and I think it's a good point, that you can be a nepo baby, but it's like you have to acknowledge your privilege.
Yeah. And then put in the work, and Jack Quaid
don't be
seems like
defensive
he
about
does
it.
good work.
Don't be defensive about it. Just own it. If it
I
comes
mean,
up,
like,
you
look,
know what I
like
mean?
in Hollywood, we're on like third generation nepo babies at this point in some of the, in some of these situations. So, it's not like a new thing,
Yeah, that's always been my thought. Like, to your point, I mean, that's a hard industry to get into, and it's a kind of a legacy industry anyways, where you get like whole families involved, and of course it's going to carry on through generations.
Yeah. How about Maya Hawke? Love Maya Hawke.
Yeah, she's great too.
All right, well,
Mike P in the chat says Wyatt Russell. He's another one that's been
Yep.
pretty good.
I was gonna bring him
he
up.
does seem cool. Yeah. Man, imagine your dad is Kurt Russell and how hard it is to try to act cool. Like,
Yeah.
he's not as cool as Kurt Russell. He's a good actor, but like, not as cool. It's impossible.
I mean, you could argue on Dennis Quaid's coolness, but Jack Quaid's he's got more of the nerdy humor going for him, but it worked for him. But I would say his dad's rather hunkier.
Sorry. All right. On to Instagram. Lovely Dead Adam. Would it have benefited from a little more visible poop?
I mean, a lot of it is soiled clothing, I would say, and soiled. There's like diapers, and I mean, there's a lot.
He's not wrong though.
You're okay
Brian
showing restraint
says-
on the poop.
Brian, who has racist family stories they want to share? No, thank you. But I've certainly unfollowed some like distant cousins on Facebook. I feel like.
Oh yeah. As far as I've known, my family hasn't been too bad. My family legacy. But I would not want to have my grandma around right now with all the talk about immigrants.
I mean, listen, dude, we're old enough to where like the elders in our family are boomers, and it's complicated with them. Like even the new ones are complicated, I would say. All right, Brian, thanks for the buzzkill question. Next up, this is actually, except for this joke, they should have had her friend in Moesha play the grandma. I do remember that girl. That actress was funny. All right, last question of the evening. Ever have a family member who just wouldn't say your name right on purpose? You've had listeners of the show, John, say your name wrong for years.
Yeah, well, my last name, please.
Schnips.
My aunt
Should we remind everyone what your middle name is?
Terstappen.
Yeah. Yeah.
My aunt
Like,
always
do people
called me.
ever try to say that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, not really, but it was my mom's last name growing up. I mean, it was also the name of the bakery that my parents ran. It was called Terstappen's Bake Shop.
I love
So
I love the Schnorrs lore so much.
the
No, I mean, you can't mess my name up. People did mess my last name up a lot.
Yeah.
no,
my
how
middle
do you-
my middle name's got less characters than my first name, and that's not a lot.
I got a lot of Newell, or some people would say Nouvelle, which is just dumb because you're adding a letter that isn't even.
It's like one of those double V's.
This did remind me of a story though that like John, you met my dad. He's a little bit of a card. He's a
Timbo.
character, you might say.
Big Tim.
I don't think so, Tim. He he had 3 boys, and there were like girlfriends around, but he thought it would be funny if he called them all Heather, and the joke was that he couldn't keep track, and so he just had one name that he would call every. And I don't mean he just would joke about it to us. Like he would actually say these things to people that we were bringing around.
What do you
Now,
say
you-
in
got-
front
John,
of the
he's-
girls? Like
there's-
the women, the young ladies have to put up with that?
He had the riz though to
Yeah.
make it work. You met him, John.
It's true. I could see that.
Now, my name's always been pretty easy too, but I've for years outside of the family, everybody thinks when they ask my last name, Chriswell. Oh, okay, well, no, my name's not Chris. It's
Oh, I was like, what?
Everybody outside there thinks my name is Christopher Wells.
Because like you see your email or something.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That'd be a good actor name.
Yeah. I considered using it as a pen name at one point.
That's it. But John, we have like a minute here, so let's figure out what we're doing next week.
So I sent you guys the list. We can run through them quickly.
Let's do it.
So I'd say there's 5 movies that are sort of currently or recently in theaters that we would consider. Strange Darling, which I actually saw just hit VOD, I think last week or the week before. Speak No Evil, still kicking around. There's a movie called Sleep that actually was released, I believe, last week in theaters. But it's also on premium video on demand. Azrael, I don't know what I can see it, but I think that's pretty limited.
Why don't we do Strange Darling? Didn't Rachel say that was great?
I've seen it. I saw it when Rachel was. It's
when what Rachel wanted us to to see our reactions to.
It's probably gonna make my top 10. So
well, then let's do it.
Let's do that.
And then we don't have to go to the theater. Which I'm
great.
I dig it.
There we go. Strange Darling. We did it. We did it live.
Folks, that is the fastest that decision has ever been made.
No, the fastest is when I text you guys and say, "I don't care, guys. Can you just pick?"
Yeah, and then we pick something fair.
I'm having a Menti B day, and I just need you guys to pick, and then it gets picked quick. All right, so next week is Strange Darling.
Yeah, and then you know what I have on my calendar. Let me just double check. This is the actual release date. A little film called Terrifier 3 comes out on the 11th, I believe.
I'm so excited. That sounds amazing.
It's coming.
That's like
it's the spooky season, man.
It's like a week and a half.
Yeah, Terrifier 3, 2 hours, 5 minutes long.
I'll allow it.
I think the second one was that long too.
Over 2 hours. Well, it was a problem with the second one.
Yeah, it was a hot mess.
I'm so torn because I love the first one, and there's things I love about the second one, but it's like a hot ass mess.
Mm-hmm.
And but I just love so much that this like psychotic thing exists.
It's real crazy. Yeah, so October 11th.
That dude actually like brute force created like a new horror icon.
Yeah.
In 2024, at a time when all we get is remakes and
it's
and bullshit. Like it's
Art the
an
Clown
amazing story.
Dominates the horror conventions these days. You go to a horror con.
Conventions, tattoos.
Oh yeah.
Like dude is everywhere. Yeah.
It's all over Spirit Halloween.
Is it?
Halloween, yeah.
I think I told you guys
a couple weeks ago they have a bloody Art the Clown costume.
Well, the con I was at not too long ago, there were like children. I'm talking like 6, 7, 8-year-olds walking around as Art the Clown, and I was kind of like, I don't know, guys. Like, maybe, let's reconsider.
I love John encountering horror fan things that he's like, are we gonna just condone this or what?
I mean, look, I'm not.
I am giving the charitable read that this child has not seen Terrifier.
Yeah, fair. Maybe they haven't. There are you can walk around the cons though, and there's posters of Art cutting a woman in half. Who's it's not
Meanwhile, sweet, gentle 5-year-old, I bought these really cheesy, sort of Walmart dollar store decorations, and I have these it's just there's a skeleton, but he's smiling, and he's holding a pumpkin that's smiling, and she goes, "Daddy, that one's the scariest." I'm oh, honey, it's not that scary.
So yeah, we've got Terrifier 3, and then the other big release for the season is Smile 2, which we have not discussed. I have seen this trailer, I would say 3,000 times.
Do you know how many times I've seen it? 0.
Dude, I can't even.
I don't know. Heard it while I was on my phone, but
fair enough.
Mike points out in the chat, John.
Mm-hmm.
Art the Clown popcorn bucket.
Yeah. Okay.
If anyone wants to know what I want for Christmas,
For your 7-year-old
Yeah.
this holiday season, consider an Arctic Clown popcorn
I will
bucket.
have to wait till my children are teenagers to display it. But that's
Guys, the other exciting movie news on my part is I'm taking my 3 kids to see The Wild Robot tomorrow.
nice. That looks sweet.
Ooh, that looks good.
The reviews are
Wall-E
like
vibes.
crazy high. Like it's getting crazy good reviews. So
That's awesome.
pretty excited.
That looks
They're off
good.
school, so they got to.
I got Colleen and Delaney to watch. I saw the TV glow yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so good.
It was a successful viewing.
Nice.
I think I told the story about Mark watching it, and he loved it.
Your brother, Mark?
Yeah.
Oh, I
He
didn't know
watched
that.
it on a plane on a business trip. He was going to Seattle, and he's like, the ending scene happened as I'm like descending into Seattle at night and it's raining. He's like, it was the most depressing experience. I've
Dude,
ever
that's
had
got to be the most disorienting way to watch that movie, which is
Yeah.
already disorienting.
on a plane. Yeah. I
Yeah.
saw someone, because I follow all of the like local tattoo artists around here, and I saw this tattoo and I'm like, what is that? I'm pretty sure. What was the thing that he had on his shoulder in some of the scenes? Wasn't it a pink star?
It's like a pink triangle, isn't it? Not a pink, maybe not a pink triangle. That might have been 2 on the
But
nose.
somebody had a tattoo that looked like, I was like, oh, is that from that? Because it was in the same spot.
Cool.
Love it. All right. Strange Darling next week. Don't forget you can get a live stream of the show. Help support us at patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. You also get an ad-free version of the show on the podcast RSS feed that's in there. If you would like that, because I'm sure people have noticed, we have some ads in the show. So if you don't like them, check us out on Patreon.
We're here for you.
All right, that's going to do it. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you.
Bye-bye.